Hey everybody, how's everybody doing out there? It's Mark Hanna with Wisdom Gaming coming to you once again, unscripted, unapologetic, uncensored, and psychologically immune from social media scoring. I'm Grecian Formula, otherwise known as Hothead, Thundermouth, and Carrot. So those are all my nicknames. They all mean different things to different people. You can just call me Mark if you want. Okay, so what am I here today for? So we've got this series going. Mark and I, Mark Trowbridge, we're doing the Austerlitz Rising Eagles scenario, Battle of Austerlitz. This will be our third match now. I think I mentioned in a different video that he has now considered me above cadet level. And believe me, he's good to play. He's very good at defense and different things that these units can do. He's quite a gamer of Napoleonic series, and I'm privileged to be playing him. But one thing that came up is in our special match, we're playing a particular scenario here, and it's the Tsar's Grand Attack. So the Tsar, Alexander, I think he's really young in this, 18, gets to launch a massive assault against Davout to try to overwhelm the French on their flank and win outright by 1 p.m. So clearly, time is of the essence here. Uh, by the way, what's up with his haircut? Isn't that amazing? You think they didn't have, fancy haircuts, mohawks, and new wave looks back in the day? I'm telling you, they weren't missing out on anything back then. Anyway, the turns. The turns. We have an end of turn mechanism in this series. Generally speaking, you activate a formation, and every time you activate or pass on a formation, you roll the dice. Typically, if you roll above a 10, which means an 11 or 12, you flip the turn marker over, at which point in time you get another shot to continue it until you roll usually above a 9, which means a 10, 11, or 12. So you think you have all the time in the world until the first person rolls that 11 or 12. Then you start choking because all that time you thought might vanish upon the next die roll. So it's very difficult to predict this, but I did a mathematical analysis because I realized that uh, without a good handle on how many turns you think you have, you can't really prioritize as effectively as necessary. Um, and quite interestingly, the amount of turns that you have might be less than you think. I'm going to show you my analysis here. Because I was thinking, well, 11 or 12, pretty hard to roll. Should get 5 or 6 turns easily, uh, even before the first roll. But it's not how probability works, and I should know better. So when I started noticing that these turns were ending much sooner, maybe after 2 or 3 activations, 4 or 5 activations, even eight activations was starting to become a lot. And I was thinking that seems really low, but it's not. Let me show you something here. So I've got the spreadsheet I've been working on. Where is it? Okay. Uh, End of turn probabilities. Maybe I need to zoom in on this a little bit. Where's the zoom key on this thing? Is it in view? Yeah, here we go. Let's zoom it to 200. Okay. All right. So what we have to look at here, I need to let that go down. Okay. So what we need to look at here is how probabilities work on a very basic level. And many of you know this, but the probability in a set of comprehensive possible outcomes must always total 1, okay, or 100% probability. And I'm just showing you in the standard 7-sided die roll situation, which is really what we have in this game for many functions, including the end of turn roll. You'll see that you can roll a 2-on-2 6-sided dice. There's only one way to do it. 3, you can do 2 ways, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it goes back down. You have a total of 36 possible outcomes, of which the probabilities must eventually add up to 1. And that's what this chart shows. This guy, who's this guy? He's in the way. Get him out of there. All right. So, what's also interesting to know is that the probability of something not happening is 1 minus the probability of something happening. So if it happens that I roll a 7 and there's a 0.167 probability of rolling a 7, that means the probability of not rolling a 7 is 0.833, of which those two numbers, 0.167 and 0.833, must total to 1. So this helps us because in each and every activation, generally speaking, what you'll see in the first end of turn roll, there's always two. Two numbers are given, and a lot of times those two numbers are 10 and 9. So I restricted my analysis to the situation where first you have to roll greater than a 10 to end the turn, after which you have to roll greater than a 9. So how many turns do you get? How many turns does anybody get? Okay, well, uh, I've done the calculation here, and the probability of not rolling an 11 or a 12 on any given end of turn roll is 0.916, a little more than 90%. And consequently, the probability of that's the probability of not rolling an 11 or 12. The probability of not rolling a 10, 11, or 12 is a little bit lower because the chances of rolling a 10 are much higher than rolling that of an 11 or 12. And this number is 0.56, so this number should also be 0.56. Sorry about that little typo there. Okay. So that's what you're looking at here on the spreadsheet. So what I've done is I calculated, so I did a few more calculations here just to help you out with the understanding of it. Let me look at the idea of rolling a 7. The probability of rolling a 7 on 2 dice is 0.167. Therefore, the probability of not rolling a 7 is 1 minus 0.167 or 0.833. And the chances of not rolling it twice then are 0.833 squared, 0.694. So there's a 31% chance that you're going to roll a 7, even though you would think it might be less than that, but the cumulative probability shows that better than you think. And you have to think of cumulative probabilities in this case because each time there's an activation playing the Rising Eagle series, any Eagle series, you roll the end of the turn die, roll it again, roll it again, roll it again, roll it again. So it all eventually adds up, and I've done the calculations here. So effectively what happened in our game, I was thinking, well, I should get at least 8 turns to move my Alexander stuff to attack Mark. But I was really wrong. I wasn't calculating it right, number one. And now I did calculate it correctly, I believe. So the number of activations, this is actually the number of activation rolls, means that there's 9 activations. So there's a 50% chance that you'll have 9 activations total, okay, before you ever roll an end of the turn. All right. So basically a 50-50 chance you'll have 4.5 turns. Why 4.5? Well, each, it's not really turns, but combinations of coalition French, coalition French, coalition French is 9 total times, so that they go together basically 4.5 times. Each side gets 4 turns or 5 turns, basically. Okay, they're not turns. Let's call them rounds, because turns are actually based upon the hour of the day. Each turn is an hour. So I was quite struck by this. I'm like, wow, look at this. The actual chances of me being able to move 4 turns is only 50-50 at chance, really. Um, Moving second, you have a slight disadvantage as well. So then it's only one more roll to end the turn. So I have another column over here showing how many more times you have to roll a 9 or less. Now in our game, it only took 2 rolls. So we had a total of 10 activations on this 8 a.m. turn. I was thinking we could easily have 15 or more. It's not true. We actually exceeded the probability of being able to do that. The chances that you're going to end the turn by that many rolls is actually almost 60%. So while I was complaining about the fact that I wasn't getting the time I deserved, the fact is I got more time than I deserved. Okay. And this is probably a fundamental attribution error. We always think the dice are worse for us than they really are. So it's good to keep this in mind that when you're playing this game, okay, when there's a turn in front of you and it's a 10/9 turn, you might have 4 or 5 moves that you can basically count on. You might get 8. There's a chance you'll get 3. And so you better pick more carefully than you might think. I did waste one of my activations on a bad move, which we'll go over later, and I'll explain why I made that bad move. It's not going to be mitigating very much the dumbness of the move, but I will try to explain it. So Mark and I are playing a few more rounds of this to get through and to start the 9 a.m. turn. We're doing strategic moves right now for 8 a.m. And then once I have all of 8 a.m. done, I can load it up and show you everybody what's going on between us in this exciting battle. So just keep in mind that really with a 10/9 end of turn combo, you're looking at maybe 4 to 5 on average activations. And if you got 5 or 6 core, you better pick very carefully which ones you're going to be moving. And don't forget that includes commander activations too. So every time you want to move Kutuzov or Napoleon, that's one of your shots. It's one of your chances to get things going. So more critical than I thought. So that's the scoop at the moment. I don't have anything further to say about this. So let me let you all go. Thanks for staying to watch all of this. If you stayed all the way here, I have a summary of these notes here. These were some actual calculations. I was starting to get confused about how all of this works. It's not easy to quite figure out because technically speaking, there's a chance that this turn could go on infinitely. At some point in time, you might never roll an 11 for nearly an infinite period of time. The chances of that, of course, are minuscule and drop to 0. But it makes the calculations tough to do. And that's why you'll see a lot of probability calculations are based upon trials. They'll do 10,000 trials of a situation using the law of large numbers, the statistical deviation from the norm being, less than 0.5% or something within that kind of certainty. You can just do trial dice rolls and add up the dice rolls and see how things come out. And it should come out pretty close to reality in the pure mathematical sense. Okay, hope I haven't bored you too much. We'll be getting back to the real game soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.